Welcome everybody to this edition of Attention Talk Video. I'm your host, ADHD and Attention Coach, 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒. Our topic today is emotion as a reflex. And before we get into our content, I want to make you aware of children and adults with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, better known as CHAD. They provide evidence-based and evidence-informed information on ADHD on their website at 𝐂𝐎𝐑𝐿.org. Also, you can get more information on our sister station, Attention Talk Radio, at attentiontalkradio.com. Okay, emotions are, with ADHD is an issue of self-regulation. Two things you have to regulate. One is your attention and the other is your emotions. And many with ADHD don't necessarily really think of what an emotion is. I talk about it as being a reflexive reaction. Just like when you walk into the doctor's office, they hit you with that knee, your knee swings out. The only way it's not going is if you expect it. So to me, if you think of emotion as a reflex, what happens is you'll have an emotion and you'll have a reflex and you will jump or escape thinking. You just focus on the end, the outcome. And there's a few quotes that I want to kind of read to kind of emphasize this and talk about it. One is, thinking is difficult. That's why most people judge. Think about that. Everybody is a backseat driver, online quarterback. I mean, we often have lots of judgments about things that we have no experience in. We just jump to conclusions as to what's kind of going on. Another quote, blanket statements creates more issues than solutions. When you just globalize something as a generality, really you're losing lots of situational specificity. And I can tell you that a lot of that happens. I mean, there's a lot of people that I coach that they say they don't do very well, but I'm like, hey, you know, when you're thinking inside your head, you don't do very well. But when you're thinking outside your head, you do really, really, really well. Just to say I don't think in general is very good is too globalizing. Another quote, an overreaction is an old reaction. That, again, is you had experience in the past where something happened. It might not have anything to do with the situation of today, but you react to it as if it's the old one. Again, you're skipping over maybe thinking about how the situation is different right now than it was in the past and just retrieving those old emotions and feelings. I would argue that many people with ADHD, they go to emotions a lot because they escape thinking. I've been doing a lot of podcasts at attentiontalkradio.com and some other delving into the thinking process. People with ADHD, they struggle with just thinking inside their head. Often it's best if they're thinking out loud or diagramming pictures or interacting with people. It can really make the difference between anything. But in this video, what I really want to emphasize is that if you have ADHD and you find yourself saying, I feel this, I feel that, or think this, I want you to realize is that that's an emotion, and usually you're not analyzing the situation. You're having a reaction to an old situation where you're globalizing it and not looking through the situational variability. So what do? Well, first of all, you got to know that you're doing it. You got to pause, you got to override those emotions and those feelings and actually think about what's going on and maybe look for it to be a little differently than you think it is. Often you need to go talk with somebody else out that to kind of analyze and think through that. I know that sounds a little vague to you, but if you think about it, if you're just reacting, you're jumping to conclusions and you're not thinking, it's really pretty obvious is that you got to actually go through the thinking process, which often those with ADHD avoid because it's too effortful, it takes a lot of work. The way you deal with that is you have to be aware of it and you have to begin to think through your process. Anyway, if you're new to our channel, please click subscribe. We provide content each week on topics related to ADHD. Also, leave a comment. What are your thoughts on this? Do you notice that you're emotional most of the time? In fact, you're probably most of what you do 90% of the time is an emotional reaction to things. Most people don't realize that we are emotional beings. Most of our decisions are driven by emotion. But anyway, your thoughts, comments are welcome. With that, we hope you've gotten some insight from this video. Take care.